Hey everybody, welcome to 10 Minute Tips to Teach Music. I'm Kerri Lacey, and in this episode I want to have a quick chat about the start of the year for music teachers. Now I know that some folks in the United States are heading back to classes shortly after Christmas, and of course the Australian clients are heading back to class late January, I think it is for a lot of us. So this is the time when a lot of Australian people, teachers in particular, may be spending a little bit of time doing some extra prep and things for classes. So I thought it would be a good idea to talk about students going into the classroom. Now, most students will line up outside of a classroom. Most teachers will expect them to do that, expect them to be super quiet before they walk in the door. In my music classroom, that's not the case. My students work in a very collaborative style classroom, so they actually are expecting to come into the room to be able to talk. They're expecting to be able to communicate with their friends. We focus on social skills as well as learning skills, so it's really important for the students to feel like it's an environment they can come to for excitement and for learning. So I don't tend to do the whole stand outside and be totally quiet. That's just not going to happen with my team. So generally with my junior classes in particular, we allow them to drop their bags, pick up their equipment and walk straight into the door, which means that the students are coming into the room and they're coming into that room with nothing to do. So in my classroom I need starter options. So I've got a couple of different ones that I use, and I thought other people might have that sort of a classroom and might find it to be a really cool way of starting their lessons off. I find that it works quite well. So I'm just going to flip over to what is my first idea, which is the countdown screen. Now I saw this used in another particular school, and I really liked the concept of the countdown screen. So I'm currently in the show in iMovie, and you can actually download this countdown screen sample from my website if you wish, klerrisacustommusic.com.au. It's all part of the podcast package. So if you head on over there, you can grab your copy of the countdown screen. It'll be an iMovie file, so you shouldn't have any trouble. And you should be able to just jump back into it and open it up, and hopefully with a little bit of luck just substitute some of the things that I've done. So I have a little welcome screen, and then I inserted the timer countdown. Now that timer that you see comes from YouTube. I actually downloaded it off YouTube. You can get a number of different timers and you can pop them into your project. And if you're not sure how to do it, just Google it. It's really easy to do. So my students then have 2 minutes to get organised. So on the screen when they walk in, basically the minute the lesson starts, it's 2 minutes. And they have to have, in my classes, their iPad, their headphones, their class book and the pencil case. Now there's some really cool music that plays underneath this. I'll give you a sample in a second. So by the time they get to the point, they're actually in this place. Now usually I then find that they have their phones out, which is not an appropriate thing. So of course the next option is to put your phone away, because it's time to work with your friends and build relationships. That's the big thing that we focus on in our classroom. Of course, once we've done that, we go through, make sure you've got your headphones, your iPad, your book and your pencil case, just in case they weren't paying attention. And then comes the last 3 minutes. So they've got 3 minutes to complete the activity that was handed to them. Now, this is a screen that I'll use at the beginning of the year. So I'll use it a few times at the start of the year before I move on to other starter activities. And I find that this one works very well because you hand them the thing on the way in. The information's going on. They're dancing to the music. They're reacting. They're talking to each other. They realise, gosh, they've got to put their phones away. And then they start to do that, and then of course they've got 3 minutes to complete whatever the activity is that they do. And these photos that you're seeing come from Pexels, P-E-X-E-L-S, which is a really cool little place that you can download Creative Commons content. So of course they're finishing their 3 minutes, and the last thing they get to see is, you've got 10 seconds, have you got these things? And then at the end of the 10 seconds, it's time, of course, to celebrate your effort. So that is a cool way to end, rather than it's time to mark your work or it's time to create, to find out what your answers are. Time to celebrate your effort, because everything's about effort. Now, if we have a listen just to the very beginning of this, you'll see what I mean. I'll just click it up from here, actually. You'll see what I mean about the really cool music. Here we go. So you can see how really cool the music is. It's quite engaging. When you get a little bit further along, and you actually get to time to put your phones away, it's kind of into this. So that ties in really nicely with time to work with friends, be part of a team, collaborate, learn, create, laugh. They're the sorts of things. And then we get to the work phase. So I've picked, same song, I just chose this song in different sections, but same song, it's a 5-minute number, and it works really cool because it's time to now focus. So of course when it hits the focus section, it's got the constant pulse going on, which gives them some motivation to get moving on the project. So it's quite a good little starter. I quite like this one, and it works really, really well at the beginning of the year. Now, as I get further on into the year, we obviously don't do this every week. We do it for the first 4 or 5, and once they're into a very nice routine, then there will always be music playing when they walk in the door, but maybe there might be something more like Arpeggio app. So I actually do time trials in the classes with the Arpeggio app. So this is an app that's available on iPhone and iPad, and it's really quite good because it starts with basic things like, for example, interval identification, and you can select the simple things. Melodic dictation is very simple. We've got chord inversions if you scale a D's. Melodic dictations. The good thing about the melodic dictation is that it actually has a little piano there, so the students can hit the piano notes to see see if they're right. They can actually check it, so it's a good one to do auditory as well as visual. So I quite like that. So we do time trials. So the time trials will generally look like this. They're in their book. So all they have to do is they just simply have to put their responses down. They have a 5-minute time trial, so I'll actually pull out a timer and use that, which is quite good. Some other apps that I've used in the past, I used last year, which were quite useful, were Rhythm Cat Lite and Treble Cat Lite. So if you've not seen these ones before, Rhythm Cat Lite is a cute little game. It's good for beginning year 7. Now, some of the students that I have are quite advanced students musically. They have, 5, 6, 7th grade on their instruments, and yet they still love playing Rhythm Cat. They really do, and they do get some of the basic things wrong, which is quite interesting. So this one is identifying clapping rhythms and things of that nature, and then you've got Treble Cat, which of course is working out the notes that they have. Again, it's another really good one, naming notes and various things, and the kids can work through the range. And I tend to find students struggle to put that away when the 5-minute time code is up. However, it does work. The last little thing that we do is I do a what do you remember. So this is the what do you remember section, and this is for this particular unit of work that we're doing. And with this one, of course, it's quizzes with what do you remember. So I put things in from the previous lesson that the students have done, and hopefully it gets them to focus a little bit more on the content and the terminology. So with regard to our starters, there's some of the things that I do. Some of the other things you could do, of course, is spelling tests. That does calm them down quite a bit. But I tend to find that quizzes and 5-minute little activities are really good, and we don't tend to focus 10, 15, 20 minutes on oral skills. Every time they're coming in, they're listening. Every time they're doing things in class, we're listening. So I don't tend to sit down and do specifically oral related things these days. I tend to incorporate them into the 5 or 10 minute activity because our lessons are only an hour long. So hopefully with a little bit of luck, that gives you a few tips for 10-minute tips to teach music this week. Starters for classes with regard to music. If you have enjoyed the episode and you like all the things you see, then head on over to the website, which is www.klerrisacustommusic.com.au, and you can get the download from there. There is a podcast page, and there's also a blog page. If you go to the blog page, that's where you'll find the episode support notes. Okay, so until next time, have a beautiful, beautiful afternoon.